Every meal has its dessert. We have 2 desserts, and here's our second dessert, Jim Zogby. Thank you. I'll be brief. It's been a wonderful evening, and I want to thank all of you who are here for a remarkable opportunity to come together and share what is great about our heritage and what is great about the people who make a contribution to making our country and our world better. Your presence is important to us. I also want to thank Selma and Lawrence and Mike and John. You honor us by allowing us to honor you, and I thank you for that. I want to thank my remarkable little staff, headed by Maya Berry, who you met, but others who will be invisible to you. You've seen them at the front door when you came in. It's a small group of people who do remarkable work, and without them, tonight wouldn't have occurred. And I want to close, if I could, on a different thought, maybe actually quite tangential to the night, but bear with me for just a moment. It's a sobering thought, because my body is here, but my mind is in Baltimore. And my wife Eileen is here, and she and I spent the better part of last year in Baltimore because we have a grandchild there, our granddaughter Hope, named after my grandmother, who is suffering from leukemia and being treated at Johns Hopkins. And the ride from my daughter's home to Johns Hopkins takes you through streets that are looking like war zones. They remind me, Ambassador, of Beirut sometimes and what it looked like during the war. And through groups of young kids without work and without hope and really without a life, standing on street corners, out of school, and in trouble. The joy and the glitz of tonight stands in stark contrast to the despair of those neighborhoods in Detroit. There was a set of statistics today in the Washington Post about the neighborhood that Freddie Gray came from, and it struck me, 50% unemployment, 30+% abandoned homes, and 8% like Freddie Gray, whose brains have been affected by lead poisoning in the neighborhoods that they live in that were never fixed. Now, there are those, I was listening to the news last night, and there were people who were saying, this is not the real Baltimore, the kids in the street. This is not the real Baltimore. We're the real Baltimore. Well, I beg to differ, because both are the real Baltimore. One is aspirational. One is what we want to be. But the other is what we leave behind that we can't forget, because it also defines us. And I thought of Kahlil Gibran's, you have your Lebanon, I have mine. One of them is aspirational. It's who we want to be. We want to be Selma Hayek. We want to be Lawrence Wright. We want to be John Sexton and Mike Baruti. But then there's the who we are. And for some, it's never a possibility that they can be the people that they wanted to be when they were young. The opportunities just aren't there. And there's another of Gibran's poems that he talks about children, and I want to take issue with him because he says they're not your own. They're the arrow that leads you to the future, but they are ours. We have to have a sense of their independence and their freedom, but we also have to have responsibility for them. And I have 5 kids, and 4 of them are here tonight, and I'm proud of them. But it's not just those children that Eileen and I gave birth to that are ours, but those kids on the street corner in Baltimore are ours too. Those kids who live in Freddie Gray's neighborhood, they're our kids too. And those kids that Selma hugged in the refugee camps, they're our kids. And the kids in Gaza who don't have homes because they're still not built, they're our kids too. And if we do not have the responsibility, the sense of responsibility that we will care for our kids, then their lives will be without hope, without opportunity. And they will be trouble for us in the future and trouble for themselves. They will not have lives to live, and it will affect us too. And so I in the spirit of Gibran, and Selma, you conveyed it so perfectly, there is a sense of moral imperative that drives us to own this world, to make it a better place. I thank you for what you do. I thank you, Lawrence, for getting under the skin of the people you write about and teaching us what makes them tick. I thank John Sexton for his magnificent global vision of the world that we need to create so that we understand each other better. And I thank Mike Baruti for teaching me so much about America and what it means to be an American. You called it once an alchemy that transforms us. You come from many places, but you become American, and it makes you different, and it makes America different when you become American. Because what is America? It's all of us. And so I want to leave you with that thought about what we learned tonight about who we can become and what we can do, and to think about Baltimore. And think about Gaza, and think about Ain al-Hilwi, and think about other places that have left behind, that we have to understand what can we do, not just in our backyard, but in the broader world, to fulfill that vision and make it real, because they're all our children, and it's our world, and we'll either make it together or we won't. And I hope that we'll have the sense of moving forward. Thank you so much for being with us.